Remember, ballots must be returned to the local clerk or deposited in one of the secure drop boxes by 8:00 p.m. on election day. No exceptions. If your ballot is not to your clerk or placed in a secure drop box by 8:00, that ballot by law cannot count. The final deadline I want to remind voters of is has to do with, again, absentee voting. I've been saying it, throughout this whole election cycle, but Michigan is not an early voting state. You'll hear a lot about early voting in Michigan, and we are not an early voting state. We are an absentee voting state, and there's a big difference. And the biggest difference of that is an absentee voting state like Michigan, you, the voter, have a right to change your mind if you learn new information, or if you've turned in your absentee ballot and you think maybe I did something wrong. The deadline for an absentee voter who has submitted their ballot already to spoil that ballot and be issued a new ballot is Monday, the day before the election at 10 a.m. I want to reiterate again, we are not an early voting state, we are an absentee voting state, and you have a right to spoil your already submitted absentee ballot for whatever reason until 10 a.m. the Monday before the election. Switching gears a little bit out of absentee voting into voter registration. Michigan allows citizens to register to vote up to and including election day. At this point, 7 days out prior to the election, the only way for a citizen to register to vote is to go in person to their city or township clerk's office to register. Again, you cannot register on election day at the polling location. From 14 days out, including this last week, voters who want to register need to register in person at their local clerk's office. While we do have same day, election day registration, I want to encourage anybody who is not registered to vote and wishes to do so and wants to exercise their right to vote to not wait till election day. Don't wait, register as soon as you possibly can to prevent potentially having to wait in line to get registered. So again, if you have not registered to vote and wish to do so, you must do that in person at your clerk's office. Regarding in-person absentee voting, we've had a lot of questions come to our office as to whether or not state leaders will cancel in-person voting or close the polls on election day. And I want to reiterate, the polls will be open and it will be safe. Our clerks across the county have been busy modifying our polling locations to adhere to CDC safety guidelines and proper physical distancing as well. It will be safe to vote in person. And voters who want to take advantage of that option to make their voice heard can find their polling location at kentcountyvotes.com. Again, if there is any question a voter has or any information that you're seeking about this election, whether it's how to register to vote, how to turn in your absentee ballot, where to go and vote in the polls, and how to track your absentee ballot, we encourage voters to go to kentcountyvotes.com, where they'll find all the information they need to cast their ballot with confidence. I want to conclude by saying your right to vote is sacred, and so is your right to safety. In Kent County, we take both seriously. My office and our local clerks have worked around the clock to ensure a safe, secure, and fair election. So all that's left is for the voters to make their voices heard on election day. With that, I will take any questions from the media.
If you have a question, just raise your hand and we'll go to you, Joel from Joel Fergie.
Hi, Joel.
Good morning, Madam Clerk. At this point, 7 days out, what, if anything, is keeping you up at night?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't have anything keeping me up at night. Our local clerks, my office, we're prepared for this election. We're ready to go. It is an election unlike anything we've seen. You know, it's a election of presidential proportions. We have a pandemic, and it's the first presidential cycle with post-proposal 3 provisions as well. And so we know that this is going to be a huge election, a lot of excitement, and we anticipate a large voter turnout. And we have done everything we can to ensure that we're protecting the security and integrity of the election and protecting our voters' health as well. So the only thing that I want to that gives me pause, that I want to make sure that we continue to communicate with voters, campaigns and candidates and our friends in the media is when it comes time on election night for results. And that's just, please be patient. It takes time to count your votes. And especially with the influx of absentee voting, that just, it takes longer to count and tabulate those votes than it does to count and tabulate the votes in the precinct on election day. So I want to caution folks to not think that taking a long time to count your vote is a delay in the process. It's not a delay. Counting your votes is the process. So just please be patient, and we're going to do everything we can to report those results as quickly as possible, but we're not going to sacrifice security and accuracy for speed.
Thank you, Joel. Our next question is from Annie Sikowski.
Hi, Annie.
Hi, good morning. Thanks so much for hosting this. With you and the Secretary of State encouraging people not to drop their absentee ballot off in the mail, to either put that in the drop boxes or take them to their city clerks, is there anything that people need to know about ballot box security? I think in Boston, we just had an issue where a ballot box was set on fire. So what is the county doing to ensure the safety of those boxes?
Again, we want, whether it's in person at the polls or voting absentee, we want voters to have confidence in the security of our process and that their vote will be counted. When it comes to the drop boxes, I do want to say this isn't a new thing for Kent County. We've had drop boxes for several years. Almost all of our jurisdictions have. However, with the pandemic, and other things creating more absentee voting, it's really placed a higher emphasis on the drop boxes. So while it's not new, that means our election workers, our local clerks have a process. All of our drop boxes are locked, secure, with lock and key. They are checked multiple times a day, and many of them have security cameras to make sure that those who utilize the drop box can do so with confidence.
All right, if there's any more questions, just raise your hand.
I think we have Brian McVicker. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that.
McVicker. Yep.
In a chat. One moment, folks. Brian asked, do I anticipate election results for Kent County will be available Tuesday night, or would results not become available till Wednesday or later? The results that we have will be available immediately. With our newer voting equipment and election software that we use, we get almost instantaneous results, particularly from the polls, the polling locations. So essentially, when I know, you guys will know, the public will know. We were pleasantly surprised ourselves in the August primary. I was, again, kind of reminding the same thing, that it could take well into Wednesday to receive all of our election results. We had those before 5:30 on Wednesday morning. And so that was a really encouraging success here in Kent County, but that was only 30% of voter turnout. I expect anywhere around 70% of voter turnout. So double the votes to count. We will have some of our results from some of our jurisdictions. They will be up as soon as we get them. But I do anticipate the full Kent County results will not be available yet Tuesday night. It will go into Wednesday.
I think Annie had a follow-up question.
Sure.
I did. Yeah. Thank you. Again, a follow up, worst case scenario, if something does happen to one of those ballot boxes in the middle of the night, it's not necessarily in the city where people can see it. Does the clerk's office have a plan for if those ballots are, say, destroyed in a fire or a car runs over it and the ballots go everywhere? What's the plan in order to make sure that those votes are counted?
We are leaving that to our local jurisdictions to determine the best way to handle situations like those. Again, drop boxes are not new in Kent County. They have been used for several elections. We've never had an issue with drop boxes at this point, and our drop boxes are incredibly secure.
All right. And Joel, did you have a follow-up as well?
Yes, considering the number of absentee ballots you're getting, how busy do you think it'll be at the actual physical polling places Tuesday morning?
Well, I think there will be more in-person voting than I think folks anticipated originally with the pandemic. I think we've done a really good job. Our election workers and our clerks have done a really good job to let voters know the measures that we're taking to provide a sanitary space and safe space for them to vote. So I do think we'll get much more in-person voting than what we saw in August. And I will say, I think, again, because we're adhering to social distancing guidelines and things like that, lines will probably look much longer than they really are, though. But I do expect our polling places to continue to be busy. Joel, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, and I think this kind of goes to Annie's point. You've always had these ballot boxes out there, but this is not like any other year. So is there any additional security that'll be at polling places, or do you have any kind of, or do the local clerks have any kind of plan in place where if you had to send, say, law enforcement into one of the polls, that would be more of an automatic thing other than the way you've done it in the past?
Well, as we do in every election, my office, I've been working with the sheriff's office in concert together for the last several weeks to prepare for this election cycle. And I say that as we do every election, because every election we do emergency preparedness and that kind of thing when it comes to election day preparedness. And so we have a plan with our sheriff's office. They're ready and anticipating election day. There will be patrols out throughout the county, but we also want to walk that fine line in terms of making voters feel comfortable, every voter feel comfortable in the polls. And so I don't want it to look like a police state where there are uniforms all over our polling locations. We will protect everybody's constitutional right, and we will continue to do what we do best here in Kent County, and that's run a good, safe, and secure election.
Okay, are there any more questions?
I see there's a chat. Nope, we hit that already.
Okay, any parting words?
Hey, again, as we go forward through the next 7 days, we are always available to talk with you, to answer questions, and I really appreciate the role that you all in the media are playing to help inform our voters so that they're equipped with the information they need.
All right, everyone, thank you for joining. If you have any follow-up questions, you know how to contact our office, 616-632-7650, or on clerk-register@kentcountymi.gov, and we'll be happy to get back with you, and we're happy to do follow-up interviews as well. So reach out and we'll organize those. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.